The sky above was dark and silent. Broken towers reached up like dead trees. Machines no longer worked. The world had once been full of light and noise, but now everything was quiet. This was the planet Nalos, once a strong and rich place. Now, it was just ruins and dust. Two young alien girls moved carefully through the fallen buildings. Their feet were bare. Their stomachs growled. They had not eaten in 2 days. The older girl, Sira, looked about 16 in human years. She had sharp green eyes and purple skin. Her little sister, Laika, was only 9. Her small hands held tightly to Sira's torn coat. They had lost everything. Their home had been attacked. Their parents had gone out for food and never came back. For weeks, the girls hid in an old shelter, eating roots and anything they could find. But even that ran out. Now they were walking, hoping to find something, anything, to survive. Laika stopped walking and sat down on a rock. Her legs shook. "I'm tired," she said in a small voice. "I know," Sira said softly. She knelt beside her and gave her a sip from the last bottle of water. "But we have to keep going. We can't stop here. Do you think someone is still out there? Someone nice?" Sira didn't answer right away. She didn't want to lie. But she also didn't want her sister to give up. "Maybe," Sira said. "Maybe someone heard the signals we sent." Long ago, they had used an old radio to send messages. "Help us. We are still alive," they said again and again. No one answered. But today, something strange happened. As they walked toward the forest's edge, they saw a bright light in the sky. It wasn't a falling star. It wasn't a storm. It was a ship. A real ship. Not broken, not dead. They hid behind a tree and watched the ship land in a clearing. It was small, dark gray, and shaped like a claw. Smoke hissed from the sides as the engines cooled. Sira's heart beat fast. She pulled Laika closer. "Stay quiet," she whispered. A moment later, the door opened. A figure stepped out. It was tall, wearing armor and carrying a weapon. It moved like a soldier. Not one of the cruel raiders or pirates they had seen before. This one looked different, more calm, more careful. And then they saw the face. Human. They had only heard stories about humans. Some said humans were gone. Others said they lived far away and never came back after the Great Fall. Many believed humans were dangerous. But right now, this one looked tired. Sira's mind raced. Should they run or speak? Her sister clutched her hand. "Please," Laika whispered. "Maybe he has food." Sira looked down at her. Then she stood up slowly, showing her empty hands. The man turned sharply and pointed his weapon. Sira froze. Her heart almost stopped. "Wait!" she shouted. "We're not enemies!" The man stepped closer. His eyes narrowed. His voice was rough. "Who are you?" "We live here," Sira said. "Or we did. Everything's gone. Please, we haven't eaten." The man didn't lower his weapon right away. He looked at the two girls, thin, dirty, shaking. Finally, he put the weapon down and reached into a pack. He pulled out a small silver bar. Food. He threw it at their feet. Sira grabbed it and opened it. She broke it in half and gave one part to Laika. They ate fast but carefully. The man didn't speak again. He looked around, checking the area. Then he turned to leave. "Wait," Sira said. "Thank you, really." He paused. "What's your name?" she asked. He glanced over his shoulder. "Ryan." "Mine's Sira, and this is Laika." Ryan nodded once, then walked toward his ship. "Can we come with you?" Laika asked quietly. Ryan didn't turn around. "Don't follow me," he said, then stepped inside the ship. The door closed behind him. The girls stood there holding the empty wrapper. The food had helped, but it was not enough. The cold wind blew through the trees. "What now?" Laika asked. Sira looked at the ship. Her eyes were full of hope and fear. We wait. Maybe, just maybe, he'll change his mind. They sat beside a tree, watching the ship. For the first time in a long time, they didn't feel completely alone. Sierra didn't sleep that night. She stayed close to the tree, her eyes locked on the ship. The dark gray metal reflected the moonlight. Every few minutes, she thought she saw movement inside, but nothing happened. Ryan never came out. Laika slept beside her, holding Sierra's arm. Her breathing was slow and soft. She was still weak, but at least her stomach was no longer empty. As morning came, soft light spread across the trees. Birds that hadn't sung in weeks finally chirped again. Sierra slowly stood up and looked around. The forest was quiet, but she knew danger could be anywhere. She stepped closer to the ship just a little. The door remained closed. The engines had cooled. Maybe he was planning to leave. Maybe he would fly away and never return. Sierra felt torn. She didn't want to beg again, but Laika needed help. They both did, and something about Ryan felt different. He could have shot them, but he didn't. Laika opened her eyes and sat up. "Is he gone?" "No," Sierra said. "He's still in there." "Will he help us again?" Sierra didn't answer. Instead, she said, "Stay here. I'll go look." Before Laika could speak, Sierra stepped out of the trees and walked straight toward the ship. She stopped 5 feet from the door and raised her hands. "I just want to talk," she said clearly. There was no answer. "We don't have a home. We're not looking to take anything. We want to live." The door stayed shut. Sierra waited a little longer, then turned around. But then a soft hiss filled the air. The ship's door opened. Ryan stood there, holding a tool in one hand. He didn't look angry, just tired. "You didn't listen," he said. "I had to," Sierra replied. "We have nowhere else to go." Ryan looked past her and saw Laika standing in the trees. She waved shyly. "You have a ship," Sierra said. "You have food, maybe a place to stay. You're the first kind soul we've seen in weeks." Ryan rubbed his forehead. "I'm not here to rescue anyone. I came to collect data from a human, stationed nearby. That's it." "Then let us help you," Sierra said quickly. "We know this area. We've lived here. We can guide you." Ryan studied her face. She looked honest, scared, but not weak. He sighed and motioned her closer. "Fine. Stay near the ship. But don't touch anything." Sierra nodded. She called Laika, and the little girl ran over, smiling. Ryan handed them a small pack with dried fruit and water. They sat near the ship and ate slowly this time, trying to make it last. Ryan sat a few feet away, checking a device on his wrist. Sierra looked at him. "Why did you come here?" "Everyone else gave up on this place." "Not everyone," Ryan said. "My team got reports that a few colonies might still have working tech, maybe even survivors. I was sent to check." "Just you?" Sierra asked. "Others are out there. I landed here alone because my ship's signal was weak. Safer to go alone than risk drawing attention." Laika leaned forward. "Are you from Earth?" Ryan nodded. "Long time ago. I grew up on Mars Station, though. Earth is far now. Different." Sierra hesitated. Do you think we can go there someday?" Ryan looked at her. "Maybe, but only if it's safe." A beep came from his wrist. Ryan stood up. "I have to go now. The station's just over that ridge. I need to finish what I came here for." "Let us come," Sierra said. "No, too dangerous. Stay here. I'll be back before dark." He turned and walked into the forest, rifle ready, step silent. Sierra sat in silence, chewing the last bit of fruit. Laika leaned on her shoulder. "He's different," Laika whispered. "Not like the others?" "Yes," Sierra said. "He still cares." The day passed slowly. Birds flew overhead. Strange sounds echoed in the distance. Sierra kept her hand on a sharp stick just in case. Evening came. The sun began to fall. The shadows stretched. Finally, they heard footsteps. Ryan returned, a heavy bag slung over his shoulder. His armor was dirty and his cheek had a cut, but he was alive. "Station's gone," he said. "But I found the backup core and some files. It's enough." "Did anyone else survive?" Laika asked. Ryan shook his head. "No one. They sat by the fire that night." Ryan handed the girls soft blankets and a bit more food. He didn't speak much, but Sierra didn't mind. She looked at him and said, "You came for data, but you found us." He nodded. "Wasn't part of the plan. But we're glad you did." Ryan didn't answer. He just looked up at the stars, silent and thoughtful. The next morning came with a soft breeze and quiet skies. Birds flew across the tree line, and the air was cool and fresh. Ryan stood near the edge of the clearing, checking the power level of his ship. The data core he had recovered still worked, but the system was old. He needed time to make it ready for upload. Behind him, Sierra and Laika sat together near the fire pit. Laika was drawing in the dirt with a stick. Sierra kept watching Ryan. Something about him didn't feel like a soldier anymore. He acted more like a tired traveler who had seen too much. "Do you think he'll stay?" Laika whispered. "I don't." "No," Sierra said, "but we have to be ready if he leaves." Just then, Ryan spoke without turning around. "You're not good at sneaking." "I heard every word." Sierra smiled a little. "Then what's your answer?" Ryan sighed. "I'm not staying, but I haven't decided when I'm leaving." Sierra stood up and walked closer. "We can help. We know the paths, the raider spots, the places where old tech is buried." "I don't need help," Ryan said flatly. "But we do," Sierra said. Ryan turned and looked at her. "You're honest. I respect that, but honesty doesn't keep people safe anymore." "Neither does silence," Sierra said, staring at him without fear. He looked away. "Fine. You want to help? Then stay close and do exactly what I say." Sierra nodded quickly. "Deal!" They spent the rest of the day scouting a nearby town. Most of it had collapsed, but Ryan found a few working power cells in an old tower. Sierra and Laika helped carry them back. They moved fast and quiet, just like they had done during the hardest days. On the way back, they spotted smoke in the sky. Ryan crouched down and motioned for the girls to do the same. "Someone's there," he said. "Could be raiders," Sierra whispered. "Or worse," Ryan added. They watched from a distance. A small group of armored creatures walked through the ruins. They had strange armor and glowing weapons. Not from Nilos. Not local. "Mercenaries?" Sierra asked. Ryan nodded. "Off-worlders. Maybe bounty hunters. I've seen that gear before. They're not friendly." They moved carefully and returned to the ship without being seen. That night, the fire was small and quiet. The danger felt closer now. "Those men?" Laika asked softly. "They want something?" "Probably my ship," Ryan said. "Or my life." "Can we fight them?" Sierra asked. Ryan looked at her. "No, not directly, not yet." Sierra didn't like waiting, but she understood. There were only 3 of them. 2 were kids. They needed to be smart. "Teach us," Sierra said. "Teach us to fight like you." Ryan raised an eyebrow. "Why?" "Because next time, we might not be lucky," she answered. He looked at the girls for a moment, then stood up and went to his bag. He pulled out a small training weapon. It was light but strong. "We start tomorrow," he said. The next few days passed fast. Ryan trained them every morning. He showed them how to hide, how to listen, and how to strike if they had no choice. Sierra learned quickly. She was focused and sharp. Laika took longer, but her small size made her fast and hard to catch. Ryan was impressed but didn't show it. He stayed quiet, always watching, always ready. One morning, Ryan set up a warning system around the camp. He placed small sound traps and sensors near the trees. If they come back, we'll know, he told Sierra. What then? She asked. We run, or we fight. Depends on what they want. Sierra nodded. She knew both choices were dangerous. That night, while the others slept, Ryan sat alone and stared at the stars. He remembered his home, his team, the missions that broke him. He never planned to find anyone here. He never planned to care again. But the girls reminded him of something he had forgotten, why he became a protector in the first place. The next morning, a beep came from the ship. A message. Ryan checked the screen. It was short. Your signal has been noticed. Unknown ships moving toward your location. Suggest extraction. Ryan's face went cold. He walked out of the ship and called Sierra and Laika. We need to talk, he said. They sat near the fire as he explained. Someone is coming, he said. Someone strong. I don't know if they're good or bad, but we can't wait to find out. Are you leaving? Laika asked. Ryan looked at her. No, not yet. Not without knowing what they want. Sierra stood up. Then we'll be ready. Ryan nodded. For the first time, he didn't feel like he was alone on this mission. They had become a team, and soon they would face something far worse than hunger. The forest was quiet again, but it felt different now. Even the birds didn't sing. Ryan had seen this silence before. It meant danger was close. He checked his weapon and made sure. The girl stayed near the ship. Sierra had become more serious. She tied her hair back with a piece of cloth and kept her eyes on the trees. Laika followed her everywhere, holding a sharp stick that Ryan had helped sharpen. You think they're already watching us? Sierra asked. Maybe, Ryan said. Or maybe they're waiting. Waiting for what? Laika asked in a small voice. For us to lower our guard. That night, Ryan didn't sleep. He placed extra traps around the camp. Some were simple, strings tied to cans. Others were silent alarms that would blink on his wrist. The girls slept, near the ship, wrapped in blankets, holding each other for warmth. Just before dawn, a soft click sound came from the north side. Ryan opened his eyes and stood up quickly. His wrist device blinked red. Something had triggered a sensor. He didn't say a word. He grabbed his weapon and moved quietly through the trees. Sierra opened her eyes and followed behind him, barefoot and silent. Together, they found the tripwire cut. Someone had stepped through and removed it. Ryan knelt down and looked at the ground. He pointed to a fresh boot print. Not his, not Sierra's. They're close, he whispered. Go back to the ship, wake Laika, stay low. Sierra nodded and moved, fast. When Ryan returned to the clearing, 3 strangers were already there, standing near the fire pit. They wore dark armor and helmets. Strange symbols were painted across their chest plates. Their eyes glowed behind their visors. Ryan stepped out and raised his weapon. State your business. One of the strangers stepped forward. He removed his helmet. His face was pale blue, with deep scars. We don't want trouble, he said, in a flat voice. We only want what you have. This is my ship, Ryan said, and I have nothing to trade. Then we take it, the stranger said, signaling to the others. Sierra appeared beside Ryan, holding a metal pipe. Laika stood behind the ship's door, her eyes wide but steady. You sure you want to fight over this? Ryan asked. The stranger smirked. You're outnumbered. Maybe, Ryan said, but you're standing in a circle of traps. He pressed a button. Suddenly, a loud snap and flash erupted behind the strangers. One of them fell, wrapped in a wire net. The other 2 turned, confused, as smoke bombs went off. Ryan ran forward, striking one attacker with the butt of his rifle. Sierra jumped forward and swung her pipe, hitting the leg of another. Laika, from the side, hit a button Ryan had shown her. A small flash device exploded, blinding the last attacker. When the smoke cleared, All three strangers were on the ground, stunned and tied. "Nice work," Ryan said, breathing hard. "You remembered everything I taught you." Sierra smiled just a little. "You said always aim for the legs." Lika came out slowly, still holding her stick. "Are they gone?" "For now," Ryan said. "But they won't be the last." They searched the attackers and found a communicator. Ryan listened to the last message sent. It was a scan alert pointing to the ship's location. "They were tracking my power core," he said. "It gives off a signal. I was careless." "Can we shut it off?" Sierra asked. "If I do that, we lose the chance to call for help. But if I leave it on, more of them will come." Laika sat down. "I'm scared." "Me too," Sierra said quietly. "But we can't run forever." Ryan looked at both girls. They had fought bravely. They didn't freeze. They didn't cry. They stood and helped. "You too," he said. "You've come a long way since the first day." Sierra looked at him. "What will you do now?" "We can't stay here," Ryan said. "I need to move the ship. We'll find a safer place, maybe higher ground. And we'll have to hide better." "We'll help," Laika said, standing up. Again. Ryan nodded. "Then, let's get ready." By the end of the day, the ship was packed. The girls helped carry supplies. They moved quickly, burning the old camp and hiding any trace they had been there. As the sun went down, the ship rose into the air. For the first time, Sierra and Laika saw the world from above. The forests, the broken towns, the empty roads, all looked so small from up there. Laika pressed her face to the window. "So much was lost." "Yes," Ryan said, "but not everything." They flew toward the mountains. Ryan knew an old base was hidden there, deep in the stone. It had not been touched in years. Maybe it still held supplies. Maybe it had answers. And maybe, just maybe, they'd find something that could change everything. The ship flew low over the mountains. The rocky peaks stretched high, their shadows long and dark. Ryan guided the ship carefully. The old base was somewhere below, hidden among the stones and ice. Sierra and Laika pressed close to the windows, watching the world move beneath them. Laika's small hand found Sierra's. "Do you think we'll find food there?" "We have to," Sierra said. "We can't keep living like this." Ryan nodded. "The base was built to hold supplies for years. If it still works, we'll have what we need." The ship landed softly in a clearing. Snow dusted the ground. Cold wind blew through the broken trees. Ryan opened the ship's door and stepped outside. The air was thin but fresh. "Stay close," he said. "This place hasn't been used for a long time." They walked toward the entrance of the base, a large metal door buried in the rocks. Rust covered the surface, but the control panel next to it still glowed faintly. Ryan touched the panel and typed a code. The door hissed and slowly opened, revealing a dark tunnel inside. They stepped in carefully. Inside, the air was cold, but not freezing. Old lights flickered on, casting long shadows on the walls. Machines hummed quietly. The base was alive, but barely. Ryan led them down the hallway. They passed empty rooms filled with old equipment. Some rooms had broken tools, others had empty crates. Then they reached the storage room. It was huge. Sierra's eyes widened. Boxes and containers were stacked high. Some had labels: food, water, medical supplies. "This is good," Ryan said, starting to open the boxes. Inside were packets of dried food, cans, bottles of water, and small medical kits. Lika smiled for the first time in weeks. "We won't be hungry anymore." Sierra helped Ryan carry the supplies back to the ship. They worked quickly, knowing, they couldn't stay long. While packing, Ryan found an old computer terminal. He turned it on, and after a few moments, the screen lit up. "This could be useful," he said. "Maybe it holds records of what happened here." Sierra and Laika watched as Ryan typed commands. The screen showed maps, logs, and videos from years ago. One video showed people talking about the collapse. They said the war had destroyed much, but hope remained. Hope? Laika asked. Yes, Ryan said. Even in dark times, some believed the world could be rebuilt. They watched more videos, stories of families helping each other, scientists searching for cures, soldiers protecting refugees. Sierra felt a warmth in her heart. Maybe they were not alone after all. Then, a sudden noise came from outside. Ryan grabbed his weapon and moved toward the door. Sierra and Laika followed, hearts pounding. Outside, a group of strange figures waited. Their armor was dark, their faces hidden. They found us, Ryan whispered. The leader stepped forward. Give us the supplies. We don't want to hurt you. Ryan shook his head. This is not yours. Then we take it, the leader said coldly. Sierra stood beside Ryan. We won't let you, the leader laughed. 2 girls and 1 man? You're fools. The fight began. Ryan fired his rifle, aiming carefully. Sierra used a metal rod to block. A strike. Laika threw rocks to distract the attackers. The battle was fierce but short. Ryan's training and the girls' courage made the difference. When the dust settled, the attackers fled, leaving behind broken weapons. Ryan looked at the girls. You did well, Sierra smiled. We fight for more than ourselves now. Laika nodded. We fight for the future. That night, around the fire, Ryan told the girls more about the humans. We left this world to protect what was left of Earth, he said. But maybe it's time to return. Sierra looked at Laika and then at Ryan. We want to help, to build something new. Ryan smiled softly. Then we start tomorrow. The cold wind blew softly through the mountain base. Ryan, Sierra, and Laika worked together to fix the broken equipment in the old storage room. The air smelled of metal and dust, but hope filled the space. Ryan showed the girls how to use the machines to purify water and generate power. Sierra was quick to learn, carefully following his instructions. Laika watched closely, asking many questions. 1 day, Ryan said. This place could be a safe home, a new start. A home, Sierra whispered. That sounds like a good word. They worked all day, fixing broken panels and clearing debris. Ryan found old tools and showed the girls how to repair small machines. While working, they heard a strange noise outside. It was soft, but growing louder. Ryan looked out a small window. Something's coming. Sierra and Laika followed him. From the hill, they saw a large fleet of ships approaching the base. The ships were different from before. Bigger, faster, with bright lights and loud engines. That's the rescue team, Ryan said. They've been looking for me. Laika's eyes grew wide. Rescue? Ryan nodded. Yes, help has arrived. But the fleet was not just any help. The ships belonged to the Galactic Council, a group that controlled many worlds. They wanted to take control of this base and everything inside. Ryan knew he had to act fast. He gathered Sierra and Laika. We can't let them take this place. It's the last hope for many survivors. What can we do? Sierra asked. We fight. But we fight smart. They set traps around the base and prepared defenses. Ryan showed the girls how to use the old weapons stored in the base. Sierra held a rifle carefully, feeling its weight. Laika practiced throwing small grenades, learning to aim with help from Ryan. When the fleet landed, the Galactic Council soldiers marched toward the base with confidence. They believed they would take control without a fight, but they did not expect Ryan and the 2 brave girls. As the soldiers reached the base entrance, the traps went off. Loud alarms blared and nets dropped, catching some soldiers. Ryan, Sierra, and Laika moved quickly through the shadows, attacking with surprise. The battle was fierce. Gunfire echoed through the mountains. The girls worked together, protecting each other and Ryan. Ryan was impressed by their courage. Sira was calm and sharp, while Laika was fast and fearless. After hours of fighting, the council soldiers retreated. Many were captured or wounded. The base was safe. For now, Ryan looked at Sira and Laika, his face tired but proud. "You two saved this place," Sira smiled. "We saved our future." Laika laughed softly. "I want to stay here. I want to help." Ryan nodded. "And you will. We all will." The rescue team brought supplies and more survivors. The base became a center of hope. People began to rebuild, planting seeds, fixing machines, and sharing stories. One day, Ryan stood on a hill looking at the growing community. Sira and Laika were with him, laughing and talking with others. He thought about how it all started, with two hungry girls and a lonely human who refused to give up. The future was still uncertain, but for the first time in a long time, it was bright. The sun rose slowly over the mountain base. Its warm light touched the broken world, turning the cold stone golden. The camp was alive with movement. Children laughed, elders shared stories, and plants grew in small gardens. Ryan stood on a wooden platform, watching the people below. Sira was nearby, organizing supplies. Laika ran past, chasing a small alien dog that barked happily. It had been months since the first day Ryan found the two girls in the forest. The base was no longer just a shelter. It was a home, a place where hope grew. Ryan smiled quietly. He thought about the long journey that brought them here, from hunger and fear to safety and family. Sira approached him. "You changed the future," she said softly. "No," Ryan replied. "You did. Both of you." Laika came to stand beside Sira holding a flower she had picked. "Do you remember when we begged you for food?" Sira asked. Ryan nodded. "I do. It was the first step." "Now look," Laika said. "We have gardens, friends, and a future." The sound of footsteps made them turn. A group of new people arrived, carrying supplies and smiling. They were survivors from nearby worlds, hearing the news of the safe base. One of them, a tall woman with silver hair, came forward. "We heard your story," she said. "You gave us hope. We want to join." Ryan welcomed them warmly. "This place is open. Together, we will rebuild." As the day passed, the camp grew busier. Machines hummed, gardens grew larger, and children played under the sun. At night, Ryan, Sira, and Laika sat by the fire, sharing stories of the old world and dreams of the new. "What will happen next?" Laika asked. "We will protect this place," Sira said. "We will make sure no one forgets." Ryan looked at the stars above. "The galaxy is wide. Many will try to take what we have. But together, we are strong." He placed a hand on each girl's shoulder. "You taught me that hope is not lost, and that even in the darkest times, kindness can change the world." Sira smiled. "We were hungry and scared, but we never gave up." Laika nodded. "And now, we have everything." The fire flickered, casting shadows on their faces. The future was still uncertain. Dangers waited beyond the mountains. But they faced it together, with courage, trust, and the promise of a new beginning. The story of two hungry alien girls and one human had become a legend. A story of survival, friendship, and hope, and the galaxy would never forget.